Okay, well, time now to turn our attention to some business news. And today, a little different. Our business editor, Stephen Carroll, is at the World Economic Forum in Davos, and we can cross over to him now live. Stephen, of course, that annual meeting bringing together, as always, dozens of business and world leaders. But this year, there's some notable absentees. The heads of state of France, the UK, the US, all deciding to stay away as they deal with issues closer to home. How is that affecting the summit?
Well, it's one of those things that Davos its importance tends to depend on who you speak to here. Those big speeches by world leaders are what's best known from this event, but for a lot of people, they're simply a sideshow to the real business that's being done elsewhere in the Congress Centre and around this Swiss alpine town. So you have, outside of those main speeches, world leaders will often take part in bilateral or informal gatherings. They have a special word for it here, which is an IGWEL, an informal gathering of world and economic leaders, which is the behind-the-scenes talks, often involving people from different sectors discussing an issue, being moderated by someone and being sort of overseen and fostered by the World Economic Forum. But those sessions are closed to the media. We don't know always what goes on behind those closed doors. But for many people, it's felt that the real value of the discussions that happen here aren't on the stage in front of the world's media, in front of those thousands of participants from the business world, but actually the discussions that happen behind closed doors. It's interesting when we talk about Donald Trump, though, because last year, of course, his presence really overshadowed the entirety of the World Economic Forum, and many people here felt that it was a bit of a distraction from the other issues that were being discussed, that everyone was just talking about Donald Trump and not everything else that was on the agenda. The absence, though, of the entire US delegation will be missed here. We are used to having a few cabinet members from the United States in Davos, and certainly their absence will be felt in many places. Other people just say, look, this is a business event. Speed dating for CEOs is some of the term that's used to describe Davos. So many people feel the real work that's done here is done in those informal networking that happens around the town, from breakfast meetings to drinks parties in the evenings. And that's where the real business of Davos gets done.
Well, let's be diligent, Stephen, and turn our attention to the issues then for a moment. And it does seem like there's a lot of pessimism, indeed warnings of a slowing growth of the global economy as this forum got underway. I imagine that's dampening the atmosphere.
It is to an extent. We had those figures out of China yesterday, the slowest growth since 1990. Then the International Monetary Fund came out with its forecast for 2019, forecasting slowing growth, largely due to China as well. And that really, I suppose, is going to be reflected in the discussions that are had around here in Davos, and I suppose how people are going to adjust to a slower growth environment. It's interesting to listen to what the organisation PwC, the consultancy firm, is saying, because their global CEO survey showed a huge rise in pessimism among CEOs, a six-fold increase of those who feel that there will be a slowdown in 2019. That's compared to record-breaking optimism that we heard from the same survey last year. Let's take a listen to what Bob Moritz, the global chairman of PwC, had to say about this.
I think there's a handful of major takeaways. First off is there's a, not surprising, increased amount of pessimism from the CEOs in the global economy as they look out the next 12 months. Having said that, it's also interesting to find that 42% of them still actually believe the economy is going to grow. So we have a polarizing view, whereas last year we probably had more of a unanimous view of an increasing and beneficial economy. Second, they themselves are struggling with, can they have the confidence to grow over the next 12 months and even 3 years? And that degree of confidence has waned.
Look, it's tough to find somebody in Davos who'll tell you that they're going to have a bad year ahead, but certainly already we're hearing discussions of perhaps how things could be done differently in the future, and perhaps an awful lot more uncertainty, certainly listening to business leaders here about what they feel is going to happen in the next year.
Well, meanwhile, Stephen, the Davos team's often quite vague. This year, it's Globalisation 4.0. Any idea what that means?
There's an awful lot of discussion of these things as well. And look, the idea here is the World Economic Forum tries to paint a broad frame within which they can discuss a whole range of issues. And there is a definite focus this year on those that feel like they've been left behind by globalisation and by the run of economic growth that happened over the last number of years. And certainly the shift of what you're looking at being defined as this year's theme is how you can change international institutions, how you can change even how economists work, how we perceive the labour force, how we should manage the changes in technology, and how all of those things should be rethought in a way that's going to bring more people with them when it comes to economic growth. It's going to bring more benefits to more people. And that's really what the World Economic Forum is getting at. And they're attacking it from several different fronts, both at the international level of cooperation, but also trying to bring together areas like technology and all those businesses into the fold as well.
OK, definitely some interesting topics then up for discussion. Where you are, Stephen, we'll let you head back inside and start following that forum. Stephen Carroll, our business editor, reporting for us from Davos. Thanks indeed.